So he remembers the taste of home. So he feels my love. And you know where he'll be tomorrow? Asked Beatrice cautiously. Of course. He told me a while ago that this Saturday he has a very important party at his house, one of those fancy parties. I'm going to bring the cheesecake so he can share it, and everyone can see what a great cook his mom is. The plan in Ruth's mind was perfect, full of love and good intentions. To Beatrice, it sounded like a disaster waiting to happen. Look, Ruth, I don't know if that's a good idea. Those people are very particular, very judgmental. And your daughter-in-law, Scarlett, you know how she is. Scarlett is a good girl, she's just a bit serious. But when she tastes my cheesecake, even she will sweeten up, laughed Ruth, oblivious to any bad omen. On Saturday morning, Ruth woke up before the sun came up. She broke her piggy bank, a ceramic figure, and counted the coins carefully. It was the money she had saved for an emergency, to buy medicine for her arthritis, but to her, this was an emergency of love. She went to the neighborhood market. The hustle and bustle, the colors, and the smells filled her with energy. She walked between the stalls, greeting the vendors who had known her for years. Mrs. Ruth, what a surprise! What are you getting today? Shouted Mr. Rossi, the man who sold eggs and cheese. Mr. Rossi, I'm here for the best you've got. I'm going to make a cheesecake for my Ethan. The best cheesecake in the world. She bought the milk, the cream cheese, the vanilla. The money was just enough. The fruit vendor, seeing her so happy, gave her some strawberries for decoration. Here you go, so you can show off for the manager. Back in her room, the kitchen became a sanctuary. Every movement was a ritual, cracking the eggs, mixing the batter, caramelizing the pan. As she cooked, her mind traveled to the past. She remembered a 5-year-old Ethan standing on a stool, trying to help her, his face smudged with condensed milk. She remembered how his little eyes would light up every time she took the cheesecake out of the oven. The sweet aroma filled the small room, a scent of home, of unconditional love. When the cheesecake was ready and cooling, Ruth got herself ready. She opened her wardrobe, which consisted of a metal pipe with a few clothes hanging from it. She took out her Sunday dress. A simple floral dress, the colors a bit faded by time, but clean and perfectly ironed. She combed her gray hair into a tight bun. She looked at herself in the piece of broken mirror glued to the wall. She saw a humble old woman, but her eyes were shining with excitement. Beatrice saw her leave, with the cheesecake carefully covered in a glass dish wrapped in an embroidered napkin. Neighbor, really, think about it, her friend insisted one last time. Call him first. Let him know you're on your way. Oh, Beatrice, what's the fun in that if I tell him? It's a surprise, Ruth said radiantly. Don't worry, everything will be fine. You'll see. Tonight I'll tell you how happy my son was. And with that certainty in her heart, Ruth began her journey. 2 buses and a long walk separated her from her son's building. She hugged the glass dish to her chest, protecting it from the jostling of the crowd. The cheesecake wasn't just a dessert. It was an offering, the materialization of all her love, a love so great and so pure that it made her blind. She couldn't see that she wasn't walking to a party, but into an ambush. She wasn't carrying a sweet surprise, but her heart on a silver platter, ready to be shattered. The entrance to the building was a portal to another universe. A doorman in an impeccable uniform looked at her suspiciously from behind a marble desk. Elegant music and the murmur of lively conversations escaped from the lobby's party room. Good evening, Ruth said in her kindest voice. I'm here for Mr. Ethan Ramirez's party. I'm his mother. The doorman scanned her, his eyes lingering on her floral dress, her worn-out shoes, the glass dish she carried like a treasure. His expression was pure disdain. One moment. He picked up a phone. Mr. Ramirez, there's a woman here. She says she's your mother. Ruth couldn't hear the response, but she saw the doorman's face. A few seconds later, the man hung up. Go ahead. It's in the back room. Go ahead sounded more like a sentence than permission. Ruth walked in, feeling the guests' eyes on her. They were men in expensive suits and women in sparkling dresses and dazzling jewelry. She felt small, out of place, like a dirt stain on a silk carpet. She hugged her cheesecake tighter. It was her anchor in this sea of luxury and strangeness. She searched for her son in the crowd. She saw him from a distance, laughing with a group of people. He looked so handsome in his dark suit. Her heart filled with pride, momentarily erasing the feeling of not belonging. She walked toward him, dodging waiters offering glasses of champagne and canapés with unpronounceable names. But before she could reach him, a figure stood in her way. It was Scarlett. Her perfectly made-up face was a mask of contained fury. "What the hell are you doing here?" she hissed, her voice as low and sharp as a snake's. "Scarlett, my love." "Honey, you look so beautiful," Ruth said, trying to smile. "I brought a surprise for Ethan, his favorite cheesecake." Scarlett looked at the dish with infinite disgust. "A surprise? Are you crazy? Don't you see how you're dressed? What do you smell like? You smell like cheap soap, like a greasy spoon. You're humiliating us." The cruelty of the words hit Ruth with the force of a slap. The air was knocked out of her lungs. "But I just wanted. You wanted nothing. Get out. Get out right now before someone important sees you." It was then that Ethan approached, drawn by the attention. His smile froze when he saw his mother. "Mom? What are you doing here?" "Sweetheart," Ruth said, her eyes filled with tears, seeking refuge in her son. "I told your wife I only came to bring you your dessert. She's very angry with me." "Say something, Ethan. Defend me." All eyes in the circle of guests were now on them. Mr. Thompson, the director, watched them with a raised eyebrow. It was the decisive moment, the moment to choose between his mother and his ambition. Ethan looked at his mom, at the trembling old woman in her floral dress with her cheesecake in her hands. He saw the shame reflected in Scarlett's eyes. He saw the curious gaze of his boss. And fear, a cold, paralyzing fear, took hold of him. Fear of losing everything. Fear that they would discover the fraud he was. He made his decision. He opened his mouth, and the word that came out was not one of defense, but of annihilation. "Shut up, Mom!" The shout echoed through the room. The music seemed to stop. The murmur of conversations died down. The silence was total, absolute. And then, in an act of unimaginable cruelty, he pushed her. It wasn't a hard push, but it was enough for Ruth, frail and thrown off balance by shock and pain, to lose her footing. She stumbled backward. The glass dish slipped from her hands. The world seemed to move in slow motion, the cheesecake flying through the air, the dull thud of her body hitting the floor, and the final crash of glass shattering against the marble. The golden cheesecake, the offering of love, lay scattered on the floor like a dirty stain, a monument to a broken heart. Ruth lay on the ground, among the remains of her dessert and her dignity. The pain of the fall was nothing compared to the pain tearing at her soul. She looked at her son, her sweet Ethan, and saw in his eyes not a son, but a stranger, an executioner with a face hardened by shame and anger. The silence broke. Scarlett was the first to react. "Oh my God, this woman must have had too much to drink," she said loudly for everyone to hear. Ethan, without even